Okay, welcome to the ABCs of DXing. I'm Tom, KA2D, and I'm the Vice President of the Long Island DX Association and an active DXer. We like to chase the dots all around the world. So hopefully we'll just gonna, this is not really an in-depth presentation, but it kind of like we'll call it a cloud warmer. So away we go. All right, be in the right window. All right, what we're going to talk about today is just real basics of DXing, what it is, where it is, how to find it, station requirements, logging and QSL, and of course, DX awards that are available for keeping track of all of this good stuff. Basically, where it is. DX is on all bands, and that's from 160 all the way through 6 meters. And again, depending on the season, there's also what we call the warp bands, which is 30, 17, and 12 meters, and all modes. There's traditional CW and sideband, and there's digital, but there's also slow scan TV and satellite and things like that goes under the DX bands. Most of the rarer DXs, what we call a DXpedition, is when a group of like-minded people go off to some remote island. For instance, this month coming up, there's a group going to Beauvais, which is in the South Atlantic by Antarctica. And of course, it's many, many years in the planning and very, very expensive. There's contests, all the various contests during the year. There's DX running around in a contest, good way to collect good DX. And then, of course, how do you find out where all these people are? And there's the various DX spotting clusters. Our current cycle's on a rise, thank God, although we're going through a little bit of doldrums with the solar storms. But anyway, general seasonal, and this is real general. In the winter, you have 160, 80, 30. Basically, all the bands are open with the occasional 6 meters. Springtime is 40 through 6 meters. Summer is 20 through 6 meters. Fall, again, start with 40 through 10. And again, the caveat is the time of day. Early mornings, 80 through 20. The mid mornings to mid afternoon is 20 to 10. And late afternoon to sunset, 40 through 10. And nighttime to early morning, 160 through 40. And for DXing on 160 and 80, you think sunrise and sunset. For instance, if you want to run here stations to the west of you, you think sunrise, and at sunset, think stations to the east of you. And again, this is very, very general. And the reason you have to know basic things like this, if you're on a cluster and you see a spot for a Russian station, in the middle of the afternoon, not a Russian, you got to know that you're not going to make that particular contact because the propagation is not there. DX etiquette, and this is a caveat, but basically, and it's hard to do. You're tuning around the band and you hear all these people calling somebody, or give an example on FT8 in the past few weeks. There's a station in the island of Crozet in the Indian Ocean on the FT8 digital stuff, and you see all these people calling them, but nobody's making any contact. So again, if you can't physically hear or print a station, you can't work them. So don't be filling up the band by you calling them. Okay. Also, when you tune into a DX station, are they calling for a specific part of the globe or area? For instance, CQDX Europe or NAJA, So you wait until that particular station calls your area, or it'll say, I'm working North America number 1, 2, etc., like that. And it makes it easier to clear the confusion and let the DX station work faster. So if you pay attention to the etiquette, you'll get in faster and out faster. And of course, there's always a lot of lids running around. Red DX will always work split, meaning that they're transmitting on one frequency and listening on the other. Pay attention to this. Learn how to run your radio in split so that you don't inadvertently transmit on the wrong place on top of the DX. And, you know, that practice makes the DX minimizes QSO rate and get as many caller in the log. Okay. And you never tune up on his frequency. Always tune, you know, if the guy, even if he's working simplex and you got to set up your station, tune below him or above him, hopefully on a clear frequency, and set your station up. These are currently the main DX resources that are really pertinent to getting all the information that you need. You know, it's like going hunting or fishing. You know, you got to know where to find the stuff. But unfortunately, the OPDX, the Ohio Penn DX Bulletin, that's been active for decades, has gone QRT. And we got to thank those people for their diligence. But anyway, the Italian 425 DX News is a great weekly bulletin that you can subscribe to, receive it on email, or just, you know, click on the link and go through the bulletins. They also have a great color newsletter that has great pictures and a good way to learn geography and see the conditions that these guys are actually working. A paid subscription by Bernie, W3UR, the Daily DX, is a weekly news sheet that you can, I don't know if he still does it by mail, but it definitely does it by email. And then there's the weekly DX bulletin from the ARRL, and that also comes by email. And basically that's a conglomeration of all the other DX bulletins. Then this one is online. The DX News is a great place to find out what's going on current. They have daily updates from the various DX expeditions that are running around the particular world with nice color pictures and kind of what's going on today, tomorrow, et cetera, et cetera. And those are really nice things. And if we have time later, we'll click on some of these spots and get a live look at them. For propagation forecast, ARRL has a daily, you know, the weekly propagation forecast, which is pretty nice. And most of the DX websites, for instance, for this Bovee thing, you click on their website and they'll have propagation charts when in your particular part of the world should you be listening for those particular things, because that's what they've done a lot of research, and that's what they do. Also, local club members, you know, email reflectors, DX websites, all that stuff, and again, like I said, internet newsletters. All of this is where you can find information, and you know, it's just like a hunting expedition or a fishing expedition. You got to do some research to find out what's the best times to find whatever you're chasing. I recommend a computer logging program. There's many, some are free. And again, it saves a lot of work, because in the logging program has a lot of information that's related to chasing DX and keeping track of your awards. And again, whether you log in a computer or you log on on paper. All the dates and the times are in UTC. Very, very important, especially when you're exchanging QSL cards. And speaking of QSLs, this is the, I can't stress this enough. When you requesting a QSL card, always include the proper return postage. Okay, you know, again, a lot of these stations, whether they're rare or not rare, they get on the air, and unlike maybe, you know, a guy from W2, you can actually have a conversation. But you know, if you're from Reunion Island or something like that, unfortunately, you know, everybody wants to, you know, wants to contact with you, and you know, it turns into pileups, or you know, 5-9, thank you, wham bam, and away you go. And it makes it hard for the station to come up. And then of course he gets flooded with QSL requests, which, you know, cards cost money, and envelopes and all that kind of stuff. So as a courtesy, you know, you include the proper return postage and a proper return envelope to make things quite easy, and also easy to read cards, so that the guy doesn't have to chase all around your card to find out the date, the time, so that he could verify that card in a lickety split thing. Via the bureau, okay? In our, well, in the New York area, which I'm located, which is W2, the North Jersey QSL service for incoming, and the outgoing goes to AORL HQ. Every part of US, and actually in other parts of the world, have bureau services, you know? So here's what I was looking for before in the previous presentation. There's also a lot of QSL services like QDURE. And what that does is you can upload, you can go on their site, design your own color two-sided card. And in fact, you can do as many different styles of cards that you like. And you upload a file to the service, and they print your card and put the contact information and distribute it to the various QSL bureaus worldwide for basically the cost of getting a colored card printed. It's a really good service. And they handle all outgoing QSLs. And mainly it's state, like if you're from stateside, it's for DX. In other words, you can't do states to state. There's also QRZ.com, EQSL, club logs, and a caveat: not all these servers qualify for the various AORL DXCC awards. So keep that in mind if you're chasing the AORL DXCC. The various awards, there are many, 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 but these are the more popular ones, is the AORL DXCC, basically, which is the gold standard of DXCC awards. There's various band modes and so on and so forth, and DX challenge and honor roll and things like that, that whether you're a newbie or a new thing, that it's nice to have. There's worked all zones, and again, you can have a general mixed band by band and so on and so forth, and same with worked all continents, the worked all continents award, and islands on the air, which are various IOTA from the UK. There's many, many islands that are active, and if you like to chase them. And the new, I guess, the new trendy thing since the 100th anniversary of the national parks is, and I failed to mention here, is Parks on the Air, which is not necessarily DX. It's mainly parks from around the country. There are parks around the world, and if you're interested or want information on that, just search for Parks on the Air, and they have a beautiful website with a lot of great information. Here's some of the tips, and we can expand on that. Definitely upgrade to extra class, and the reason for that is some of the good DX is down below, mainly for CW, down below to 025. That's where they stay. Learn CW, or at least enough that you can send your call coherently and respond when you get a response coherently. Okay. For tracking awards, Logbook of the World is probably the way to go. It makes it much easier and less expensive to collect DXCC. Join a local DX club. You'll exchange ideas with many likewise DX, some newer, some of the old guys with all their little tricks that are pretty interesting. Subscribe to DX newsletters, or 2 or 3 or 4, okay? Pay attention to optimizing your station, meaning get to know where your controls are, how to switch antennas, bands, learn how to use your tuner or your amplifier if it's not automatic. If you don't have a giant tower or a giant antenna, if you're running 100 watts in a wire, don't be intimidated by the big guns. Just know your place in pileups, okay? And operate smarts, meaning you study and apply propagation theory, meaning for your particular station, maybe early when the band is open or when the band is closing, you're really not going to make the contact. But you figure out when the best time is to work, the Europeans on 10 meters with your wire, could be between 10 and 11 o'clock in the morning. And you learn timing is key, okay? And listening where other people aren't is another one. You determine the DX listening pattern, whether he hesitates or he likes to listen a little bit off frequency, and definitely if he's running split, meaning that he's transmitting, say, on 195, and he's listening up 5 to 10 or whatever. You want to listen into the pileup and see if he's staying in one spot for 2 or 3 QSOs. Is he moving up? Is he on his way down? Does he have a favorite spot? And those are all the things that make it fun to figure out where it is, because it's really fun that when he comes back to your call, when there's hundreds of people calling, it's always a thrill, even for guys that have been doing it for 40 years. And patience, be patient. Sometimes it doesn't happen. You don't know the conditions on the other side. He could have QRN, so on, so forth. It's, interesting to listen to that kind of stuff. Oh, there we go. What happened here? Okay. Yeah. I lost my presentation. Hang on. All righty. Oh, I guess, yeah, we had an issue here. There we go.
Hey, Tom, just click on advanced tips.
Yeah, I got it.
Presentation from there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I got it. All right, so most of the DX expeditions currently use multimedia, meaning they are on Facebook, they are on QRZ, they have their own websites, which is really, really fantastic because it gives you their daily progress on where they are, what they're doing, when they landed, when they're getting set up, conditions, and so on and so forth. It gives you dates, times, and band info when, for instance, they'll have propagation forecasts and kind of predict where they're going to be for different parts of the world. Again, that's the propagation. To have online log checking, which is fantastic. But sometimes in the heat of the battle, you're not 100% sure that you made the contact, or if he gave you QSL or so on and so forth. So you got to listen to how the DX station responds and confirms that he heard you. But it's great to have the online log checking where you type in your call and it confirms that you made the contact on that particular banded mode, so that you don't have to go back and try to make contact again and you know, that kind of stuff. It'll have current QSL information and suggestions. So this has been a big improvement in the last 10 years of chasing the rarer DX stations. And so let's see what we got here. We got plenty of time. Very good. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go online, okay, and show you some of the online stuff that we have. All right. This is a DX news site. There's many others like this, but again, it's this is currently what's going on in the next few weeks is the Beauvais Island, and okay, it'll give you all the information on what's going on, where they are, their plans, and again, there's a Crozet guy. He's a single operator, but these are all the information currently of the Rara DX. Really good site, okay? The next one is a 425 DX News, which is a weekly newsletter, okay? It has a calendar. This is the latest calendar, give you what's going on, current bulletin, and of course you can subscribe to this and receive emails. You can receive that in your email, but this is basically the current bulletin of this day. It comes out on Fridays, posted for today. Again, has all this information from DX stations around the world. And this is great, is the magazine, which is again, okay, here we go. It's downloading. I thought I had the link up, but basically it's a color magazine with pictures, information, comments, and so on from DX around the world, and the editors of this particular service get a lot of input from DX stations all over the world. And again, you can subscribe to this and get it in your email, which is, I guess everything is slow today. Yeah, unfortunately, the other 2 days ago, we had a transformer blow up in front of the house. Everything is not 100% flowing so good, right? Come on. All right. Click, 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 click. Here we go. All right. And here's an example of the magazine for people that like all this information and color, and they do a fantastic job. It's a great newsletter. So it's one of my favorite links. So that's basically some of the examples of all the information that you need to chase down these DX. The other thing is, let's see, we get this going here, is DX spotting clusters. Okay, I'm going to connect to my local guy. Okay, and
Can you make that bigger, Tom? Just maximize that screen so
yeah,
people
here
can
we
see
go. Here we go. How's that, George? Good?
it. It's better.
Yeah, again, I have it minimized for whatever, so without changing the font and things like that. But anyway, what's going on now is, I'm connected to K2LS. I'm in New York. Les was he's a transplant. He's that now in North Carolina. But all these clusters are connected to one server in Finland, and they all get fed. So whether it's local or whatever, you're talking a couple of nanoseconds. But all the features, again, you got WWV stuff to keep track of that. You have, you can sort this by different bands, modes, etc., and all this stuff. So whatever you're doing, but it keeps track of all the DX stations that are posted by other DX stations from around the world. And it makes chasing DX much simpler.
We got the RIDI contest this weekend. You see a lot of RIDI spots.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's the ARRL RIDI contest. So for those of you that like to chase, well, even if you're contesting, this is again the spotting cluster is part of the tools that are at your disposal to minimize and make chasing simpler. So with that, those are just some of the examples, some of the stuff that I do when I'm in the DX mode, or just casual operating during the day, so on like that. So what we can do is go in and open some questions, and hopefully I'll be able to answer.
Okay, let me come in.
Go ahead.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm George, N2GA. If you have questions, you have a control panel as part of your GoToWebinar setup. It's normally on the right-hand side of your screen. There's a little red arrow. Underneath the control panel are some panes. One pane says questions. And if you click on the little arrow next to the word questions, it'll open up the questions pane and allow you to input a question. So you can do that at this time. In the meantime, I'm going to ask Tom a couple of questions. Tom, when's the best time to chase DX? And can you integrate that question with a question about, do DX contests help?
Okay. Depending on the band and the mode. Okay, so there's different times and cycles of the day and the year and the months. There's difference between summer propagation and winter propagation. So those are the things that, fortunately for all of us, there's a lot of information online about that. But again, as you do it, even if you watch the cluster, if you decide to become a cluster watcher, you'll see patterns evolving on when Europeans are working Europeans, when the US guys are starting to spot stations from, say, Japan or Australia or whatever. And in the beginning, and this is what I did, I learned early in the beginning to increase my country count contesting, especially the four major, the ARRL, CW, sideband, CQ Worldwide, all the, sideband, and CW, and of course now digital stuff, is a way to increase your country total, because a lot of the contest stations, to solicit people to always listen to them, always send you cards, either direct or through the bureau. So that's a good way to start, okay? And of course, you might get bitten by the contest bug also, so beware. Yeah, George.
Okay, can you provide that website again that lists the DX station calls, frequencies, etc.? I guess he's asking for the spotting network.
Okay, if let's see, let me where am I?
You can always give him DX Summit. That's always an option.
Yeah, that's the one. In the beginning, yeah, DX Summit. Just type it in, and it'll go. And that's actually the main focus for all the clusters from around the world are linked through the internet, mainly getting fed through DX Summit. And that can be filtered by, again, band mode, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a good place to start. And as you get more frequent, or there's places you want to support your local cluster in your local area. But DX Summit is the root of all DX spotting networks.
Okay, great. There's a question about when is 20 meters better? Is it better in the day than the evening due to propagation?
It's kind of a mix, because mainly during the day, and I'll say depending on your area, okay, I would say it's pretty much open daylight hours, okay, with some rare openings, after dark. You'll hear the band get a little quiet, but you can get some rare openings in the dark. But usually, I would say, like, okay, I'm in New York, and I would say things really heat up, say 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock. In my area, and of course, I have a directional antenna at 60 feet, so that helps also.
Well, you may also want to mention that it depends on where you are in the sunspot cycle as far as 20 meters is concerned.
Yeah,
Because
well,
20 meters tends to be the highest open band at the bottom of the sunspot cycle. And at the top of the sunspot cycle, it may be the lowest open band. So it changes depending upon the sunspot spike.
right. Well, that's why, again, to become an active DXer, you have to study, or at least be aware of, what we call sunrise, sunset. There's a lot of maps that will do that. There's a lot of predicting programs that help you do that. And like I say, if you pay attention to the spotting clusters and who's spotting what, where, and how, you kind of get an idea of how things are going for that particular day and time. Okay, it does change seasonal. Okay, for instance, in the summer months you get a lot of lousy openings, we'll call it. 6 meters becomes a little active. So where 80 meters or 160 become very, very noisy with static. Coming into the fall, bands start to open up, and again, like what we're experiencing the last couple of weeks, is a lot of solar disturbances where the band will go quiet and then come back and go quiet again, and so on and so forth. I think today doesn't sound too active, but that's one of the things that like a good hunter or fisherman, you have to be aware of where you're going, what do you want to do, and what you're actually fishing for. So it plus geography. It's a great way to learn geography, DXing, and it's also a great way to meet very, very interesting people. even if you're not working at DX, there's some stations that are rare at DX that every once in a while will get into a rag shoe with another station, maybe just comparing recipes or whatever, but you get an idea of the other person's lifestyle, not to mention different antenna setups and radio setups and so on and so forth. But
We have some
like I
more
mentioned,
questions.
yeah, all right, go ahead.
How best to handle up to get recognized? So I guess the question is, when the DX station says, I'm listening up, what do you do?
Okay. This is something that every DXer needs to learn how to operate your radio. The newer radios usually have what they call a dual watch, where you can listen on two separate VFOs. But basically the way to start would be DX is on 14.195. So on your radio, you hit A equals B. That equalizes both your A VFO and your B VFO. Okay. Then you have to activate the B VFO for transmit only. Okay. And depending on your setup, for instance, mine, you have stereo headphones. The DX will be in your left ear and the pileup will be in your right ear. You scan your VFO-B and you try to listen to somebody responding. For instance, you'll hear KA2D, you're 5'9", and I'm going to answer Roger, 5'9", KA2D. Okay, it's fast, but you have to try to listen to the last QSO and either determine, does he stay in the same frequency? Does he move up? Like if you watch a lot of films on DX, you'll see the guy spinning the dial. So he's just looking for a stronger signal. But that's the basic of split, and you have to learn it on your particular radio. The older radios had a button. It didn't have two VFOs. It only had one, so you had a button that you had to hold to listen to the pileup side. And that's where a lot of problems came, where if you let go of the button too fast, you ended up transmitting on top of the DX. Hopefully that answered. And if you need any further details, you can email me. Go ahead.
Next question, is it possible to successfully chase DX from a typical suburban area?
Yes, I do it every day. I'm on a very populated 50 by 100 lot on Long Island. Fortunately, they tolerate my radio tower. But there's a lot of people that have mainly NFEDs, G5RV, 100 watts, that work DX when the propagation is correct and when you have the patience and listening and so on. So don't be put off by that. There's people that have vertical antenna, and again 100 watts. So yes, it is. And guys do it from apartment buildings, but they have to really be diligent.
So would you say timing and practice and listening are the important skills?
Absolutely, listening is the biggest one, and timing, especially if you're a low power station, timing is key. Learn when to call, when not to call. Also, every once in a while, you'll get a DX station that for whatever reason has he calls a station and the other station doesn't come back. So just be prepared to jump in. And I mean, you're not going to be the only one jumping in, but that's a good trick also.
Yeah, as someone that's been DX, I will tell you that it's important for you to call when other people aren't calling, and call someplace where you'll be heard. So especially on CW, you want to call slightly off frequency. Don't be zero beat, because if everybody calls on the same frequency, it just sounds like noise. But you hear that one person calling slightly off frequency, and that person will typically get through. So those types of tricks will help you.
Yes.
Tom, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, absolutely. In a pileup, that's what I mean by listen, listen, listen. Especially CW. Some guys like to listen low, some guys to listen high, or sometimes they just mix it up. Uh, on phone, if you can, kind of try to eliminate the low bassy type of voice, and not to sound like a little kid, but try to vary, you know, by mic settings or whatever. Because again, like George says, and sometimes you transmit a little off, or but you listen to the DX and you listen to the people that he's working, and see if he likes to listen low tone or high tone. Is a simple way to explain it.
Okay, next question. What's the average power for DXing with CW?
There probably is no average power because you have the QRP people, you have guys depending on the different antennas and what their tuner or whatever will work. Uh, there really is no average, I would say. Mainly, I guess we call it maybe 100 watts because most radios will put out 100 watts, a radio only. Uh, so it depends on your station, your setup. It's a lousy answer, but that's basically what it is. There's no average, power. Some people think like the Italian guys are running 5 kilowatts. It's just that they're surrounded by water and they have good soil. They always sound loud, especially from this side of the world. Yeah, George.
Okay, how do you know how much to send for a foreign QSL card, and what size envelope should you use?
Uh, many of the there's a lot of information on what to send on again QSL services and so on. Basically the rates have gone up, but for instance, a foreign QSL, say to Germany, I think now is up to $3 for return postage. And what you want to do is have a airmail envelope, okay, with just your return address, the DX address, no call signs, okay, with an airmail stamp. And inside that, you would put a return envelope with your address printed out, your QSL card, and hopefully it's a secure envelope, and you could either put green stamps or, well, the IRCs are basically done. Inside of green stamps means, $3 bills and so on. And you also have to be aware, and you can find all this information online, some stations will not accept US currency. So you have to come up with maybe there's services that will sell you German stamps, English stamps, Swedish stamps, so on and so forth. That makes it much simpler to handle a QSL card in that fashion. But the secret is on the main outside envelope, you don't put any information about ham radio on it, because there are certain post offices that kind of look for that stuff and know that there's money in there, and they pilfer it. So those are the general QSL information to foreign stations.
Can you comment on how Logbook of the World has kind of taken over from manual QSLing?
Yeah, okay, and I'm one of the. I was always a terrible QSL guy. Okay, in the beginning when I first got my license, I had a young family in a new house, and I couldn't afford to pay for stamps. But anyway, when Logbook of the World came around, Logbook of the World is not a logging program. It's a QSL suppository. And what happens is you upload your contacts into the repository, and it looks for matches. Say you work a German station, and he's a Logbook of the World subscriber. Okay, so now you can exchange a confirmation for an award credit only reward credit, not a QSL card, a physical card or a card that you could print out, only a confirm that you made this contact on such a band, such a mode to for ARRL DX awards, or worked all continents with CQ and so on and so forth. So that's what Logbook of the World. So for instance, AC2P, God rest his soul, was one of our local DX honor roll guys. He confided in me that his honor roll probably cost him anywhere from $26,000 to $30,000 to bring him to #1 honor roll at the time, which is quite a while ago. And he explained between printing of QSL cards, envelopes, stamps, and all the stuff that you need to exchange and confirm contacts, paying for award credits and so on. So I mean, I just sat down, and my honor roll is done 100% Logbook of the World, so it just costs the cost of whatever ARRL charges for the credits, which I saved a substantial amount of money using Logbook of the World, and that's why it's been so popular.
Okay, that's all the questions we have. Thank you, Tom. Do you have any last advice, or you want to provide your contact information again for people to get in touch with you in case they have additional questions?
Yeah, I see that. My email address is KA2D@optonline.net. You can also send it to KA2D@ARRL.net, but you'll get a response from another service. But either way, you can contact me with any kind of questions. I'm like I said, I'm vice president of the Long Island DX Association here, but we also have Zoom meetings, and we have people from all over. You can contact me, and if you're interested, we're on the third Tuesday, 8 o'clock Zoom meetings. We exchange general DXing information, and usually our president, John, presents a nice video of the various popular DX around the world. So it's quite interesting, and it's open to anyone interested in DX. So with that, we'll say hopefully that enlightens somebody, light a fire on a bunch of other people. And I'll say 7-3, and like I always say, see you in the pile-ups.